All right, we're back. And let's see. Yorsenshu is asking for a quick recap of the server.js, so let's take a look at that. So what do we have here? We're pulling in the WebSocket library. We're starting a new WebSocket server. And then this thing is a dependency of the secure Scuttlebot client. And then here's the client itself. So when we get a connection to the WebSocket server, then we start creating a Scuttlebot client. Then we're attaching our message listener, which we're about to do a bit more work on. And then we start a pull stream of receiving all of the logs. This live keeps it open after it exhausts all of the current data in the Scuttlebot store. And then pull.drain just executes this function on every message that we get from Scuttlebot. And then here we do a check to make sure the WebSocket is still opened. If it is, then we send the JSON of the Scuttlebot message. And if not, we close that Scuttlebot client. I guess we can actually close that socket too. I guess it's already closed. Anyway, I don't know a lot about these JavaScript libraries, so I'm not sure if there's more cleanup that we should really be doing here. And then finally, this should never actually happen because we're using the live stream, so we should never actually get it done on the stream, but if we do, we just close the Scuttlebot client anyway. So our final task here is we're now console logging these messages whenever we get something sent from Elm into the WebSocket. And when we do, we want to figure out how to store that message in Scuttlebot. So let's go check the Scuttlebot documentation. Okay, so publishing a message in JavaScript. Oh, great. So all we do is pass this JSON object that we want to publish. And then we'll get it back with all of the extra headers and information attached to it. So let's give that a try. We're going to say sbot.publish the message, which is a string. So we need to turn that into JSON of JSON messages. Okay, so I'm assuming we can't just pass a string. We've got to parse it. JSON.parse, I hope that's right. And we'll get back error and message. And if error, let's throw it, just so we'll see it come out. And otherwise, we'll say console.log stored, and we'll include the message that we stored. All right, so let's try this out. I'm going to restart the server. And we're connected, I believe, even though we didn't reload the Elm page. I'm going to vote a red, and it stored the object, and I think it worked. Let's see. So let me check the message log here on the pub server. Here's sequence number 15. It's a vote red, and this looks like my ID. So that looks good. And, all right. Yes, just a reminder that Sexual assault is still going on somewhere in the world, unfortunately. And we reload. Interesting. So it's only got 3 right now. And if I vote red, okay, then we get 4. And if I refresh, oh, interesting. I see what was happening. Whenever I kill the backend server and start it again, then the front end reconnects and gets new copies of all the messages. That's why these numbers were going up. Okay, so that's one problem we would have to resolve if we were using this. Probably the front end should keep track of the IDs of all the messages that it's seen. Or, I guess in Scuttlebot, there are different feeds, and each feed has a sequence number and that always stays in order. So we could just keep the latest sequence ID for each feed that we've seen, and then discard duplicate messages if we happen to get them. Or maybe we could add some other kind of interface to the WebSocket such that when we connect, we could tell it the latest messages we have or something like that. I don't know. But there would be some work to do on that along those lines if we wanted to use this in a real project. I'm going to vote green a few times, vote blue. Cool. And now, if I reload the page, we get all those same values back because Scuttlebot is sending us back the messages. And occasionally reminded how often sexual assault is happening in our culture today. Okay. So what's left? I think that's actually about it for today. I guess the one other thing to see was if any of the rest of you were able to publish messages. Yeah, let me know in the chat if you tried from the command line to do the sbot publish with a type of vote blue, vote red, or vote green. And if so, we can try to look for it in the log here and see if it's actually showing up in the front end. But yeah, other than that, I think that's what I wanted to cover today. So to recap, we made this simple little vote application and then made our main application, which essentially wraps that other program and persists all of its messages to secure Scuttlebot, which is a peer-to-peer persistent append-only message log. Then we wrote a little Node.js server, which acts as a Scuttlebot client and exposes it through a WebSocket API to our Elm app. And then also earlier on, we deployed a public Scuttlebot server to a DigitalOcean instance and created invite code so that other people could join that server and propagate messages back and forth with my local server. So yeah, I am pretty happy with all of that. So thanks for tuning in. And as always, I'm happy to hear feedback or project ideas. And actually, I have a bunch of things now that I need to show of submissions that of projects that viewers have submitted or things that you all have done. So I want to show a few of those. So I better get on that and do that in the next episode, which I think will probably be next week. I haven't done a great job of looking at my future calendar in advance. But it's quite likely I will be back next week, and then we can look at viewer submissions, and I will have another project idea in mind by then as well. But thanks for tuning in. Sorry if the topics and some of the political discussion got a bit too real today, but I appreciate everyone thinking about and considering those issues and educating themselves about rape culture and sexual assaults, especially with all the media attention that's gotten recently. Think about your role in that. And in particular, if you hear about things or are passively condoning questionable actions, you have support from people who recognize that it's not the right thing and that it's hard to stand up for the right thing in a lot of cases. But together we can all work towards improving that and shutting down the status quo with regard to sexual assault and the position of women in culture. So thanks for thinking about that. Again, I don't know all the answers, so if you have thoughts on that as well, I'm happy to hear them. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all next week.